Hello my gardening tribe, how are you? I'm Komal and welcome back to another episode at Urban Hobby Gardener. Today in this video I'm going to show you how you can harvest mustard seeds. Now a few months back when it was a bit cooler, I showed you right in this very channel how to start your own mustard green plant, that too using the mustard seeds you have in your kitchen. So if you like, this is almost like a sequel of that video, and these seeds actually come from that very plant that I sowed on this channel. So in this video I'm going to show you the technique of how to harvest these seeds, and lots and lots of tips, as I always do, that will be scattered throughout the video, so make sure you watch the whole video. Now, in case you missed that video on how to grow your own mustard greens, I will include a link to my video in the description box below, so be sure to check it out after this video. Also, if you are new here and you love all things gardening related and especially free educational videos, then I invite you to please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss any of my future videos. Also, I do share a lot of tips on my Facebook page, so be sure to check out Urban Hobby Gardener on Facebook as well. Alright guys, let's get into it. Now these are the absolutely cute and gorgeous flowers of the mustard greens, and you can see below, right below the flower, this small spindly looking thing, those are the seed pods. That is where the mustard seeds are getting grown and ripen. Now you will see that, as the mustard greens grow, they start to look they do start to look quite sad. You might even see, the random red leaf here and there. You might see some pink leaves, and that is perfectly normal. Okay, as these seed pods, mature, they will start to get fatter. Okay, and it'll look something like this. Okay, you can see that, this one is getting nice and plump. Okay, but because these seed pods are still quite green, they're actually not yet ready for harvest just as yet. Okay, so we're going to wait till these seed pods, till the seeds within it get a lot more mature, and I will show you what they look like and how I harvest them post that. A few weeks on, the green seed pods that I showed you, they will start turning brown, okay, and you'll be able to see the black mustard seeds within these brown pods a lot clearer at this stage. Okay, in case you can't see it through the video because of the sun's angle, you hopefully at least be able to see all those little tiny bumps that are starting to come through. Okay, now at this stage, once these seed pods turn brown, that is when your mustard seeds are ready for harvest. But one thing you do want to do is keep a very, very close eye when your seed pods do start going, they start drying up and they go brown like that, because at this stage they become extremely fragile. Okay, where they still have a slight greenish tinge to it, you don't need to worry about it too much. They're not quite ripe yet, so we leave this one sitting as it is. But any kind of brown dry seed pods are ready for harvest. Okay, and the reason I was saying you need to be very careful because they're very fragile is because the slightest touch, especially when they are just ripe, the slightest touch can actually just burst open the seed pods, and they'll end up scattering everywhere, so they'll actually end up reseeding everywhere in your garden. Okay, so especially on a super windy day like this, okay, that's potentially the last thing that you want. Okay, so usually what I do is I just take a cutting and I just take these dried seed pods indoors so I can then work through them better. Now here is a classic example of what happens when you're not too careful. So you can see this seed pod has already split open, and this one here Not sure how well you can see on the camera, but this middle one here is actually in the process of splitting open. You can see that there. So this is what happens when they are fully ripe and you're not over the game and they just split open, and yeah, potentially this has reseeded somewhere in my garden. I don't know exactly where, but potentially somewhere it has. When you take your seed pod cuttings, just make sure that your seed pod is actually dry and brown on all sides. Okay, so you don't want any greenish, yellowish tinges on any side, because sometimes, okay, like if I show you this example cutting, okay, it can look nice and brown on one side, but the minute you kind of turn it around, it's still green. Okay, so you don't want to work with seed pods like that, because this means that the seeds haven't fully ripened yet. Okay, so you want to work with completely kind of brown, completely dried out seed pods that are dry on all sides, and preferably seed pods that are a little bit plump looking, because then you'll get actually a good sized seed. If you take a seed pod that is kind of too thin to kind of flattish, okay, then your seed pod size also, it won't be very great. Now, just for experimentation sake, okay, if you open up the pod way too early, okay, you can see the seeds are not actually ripe, they're still brown. But if you open up the seeds at the right time, okay, then they are the nice black seeds that you're used to seeing in the grocery store, or that you're used to using in the kitchen. Okay, so that's why it's important to open up these seed pods at the right time. Okay, so always go for those seed pods that are brown on all sides, like I showed you earlier, and not the ones that have a greenish tinge to it. Now, the way that I open my seed pods up is, you see along this kind of spine, if you like, of the seed pod, I just give it a very nice gentle tap. Okay, and as you can see, that actually opens up the pod. Okay, so not so much pressure that the seeds inside just start breaking apart, but just gentle enough to kind of split the pod open, and I just rub the seeds out just like that there. Here are all the mustard seeds that I've got out of just a handful of pods. I still have quite a few pods left that I haven't yet harvested, and as you can see, as you're kind of splitting the seed pods open, you will most likely end up with byproducts. All right, so any of kind of like the bigger seed pod pieces that have kind of fallen in, I usually just hand pick these out. Okay, but there will be the more finer particles in there as well, right? And if you were to handpick these out, you'd probably be there forever. So what I usually do with this is I just get all the seeds kind of towards one end of the bowl, okay, and then I just very gently blow into the bowl, and then all this husk, okay, because it is lighter compared to the actual seeds, the husk will blow away, but the seeds will still remain in place. Now, in case you don't already know, I do use my mobile phone in one hand, and then I shoot my videos that way. I haven't invested in a tripod just as yet, sorry guys. So that was the only reason I haven't kind of showed you the whole blowing segment, and I've done that off screen, because when I did try to do it on screen with one of my other bowls of seeds, it just created so much whooshing noise. It just wasn't nice. So just to kind of avoid that whole whooshing noise on screen, I've just kind of described the process as opposed to show you the process. So I'm sorry guys if that is, if you wanted to see that through, but that's what I do off screen. And the only thing I do from here on in is literally just transfer those seeds into a glass jar, Preferably, I would recommend you label the glass jar, especially if you've grown lots and lots of mustard greens and you have lots and lots of seeds out of that, because then that way at least you won't lose track of, you know, how fresh or old these seeds are. Guys, if you have enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Happy gardening!